702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
You're on 702, 6 after 9. Welcome to it. Thabo in for Clement. We're together till 12. Thanks for joining us on this special day. It's the 28th of April, and Freedom Day falls on this day, given that it was on, the holiday fell on Sunday, so as is practice in South Africa. If that's the case, Monday becomes a public holiday. Happy Freedom Day. And I'm just wondering, where were you in 1994 on a day like this? Snaking queues, you remember them? Everyone happy, looking for their ID books to go and vote. Judge Krechler heading that complex process of 1994. No registration, chaotic scenes playing themselves out as the South Africans, all South Africans had an opportunity to go and vote for the very first time. Well, by that I mean black South Africans mainly, because the way elections taken place in the country, and I don't need to re-educate you about our history, black South Africans were disenfranchised. So for many millions of us, it was an exciting day to go and decide on whom you'd like to have as a leader of your country. So that marks Freedom Day. And a couple of days later, the elections results came through. The ANC was just over 60%, and everyone else was excited. The euphoria and also the fears, let alone the excitement and the jubilations. There were fears. People were just storing tons and tons of baked beans, toilet rolls, and everything else that you could store, because there was this myth that we are going to see bloodshed, chaos unfolding, and people shooting each other. And it didn't turn out that way, thank goodness. And here we are today, arguing about very important things such as VAT. The judiciary is firm, the legislature is there, the executive is also standing, and all three arms of the state can argue with each other vehemently without things falling apart. Yes, we can call each other names, insult each other, often, but we're not doing that bad. We're not doing that badly, I'd like to believe. Yes, we have a long way to go. There's so much that we need to improve. The levels of poverty, inequality, joblessness, scary levels of joblessness in this country. And having said that, it is still better than what it was. Yes, it's not what it ought to be, what it should be. It is 100 times, if not more, better than what it used to be. Moving away from that institutionalized discrimination that was rubber stamped by the laws of the country. So it's Freedom Day. I don't know what it means to you. Feel free to give us a shout, and it's an open line from now up until 10 o'clock. So whatever is on your mind on this beautiful day. And I know many of you may not be driving because you're not stuck in traffic going to work. You could be listening from your headphones. It could be that you are at work like I am on a public holiday, and it's a labor of love for you and me. Yes, indeed it is. So feel free to interact with us on the open line about 10,000 things that may be on your mind. I don't like restricting you to a number of topics, because I think an open line gives us an opportunity to hear from you about what's happening in your world, in your corner of the world. I truly want to know about that, because there are problems that are specific to geographical areas. It could be that where you are, you haven't had water for the past 8 months. I don't know. Electricity is giving you problems. Crime is rife in your neck of the woods. It could be that where you are, where you work, there's still discrimination, and you're saying, Thabo, what are you talking about that we are free today? There are a number of things that you may want to ventilate with us, but feel free to touch on anything, because it is an open line. The number to dial, 011-883-0702, 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send a brief and a very pointed voice note to 072-702 1702 072 702 1702 about anything else that is on your mind. To that very same number, you can also send a text message, by the way. So the show is yours, and it has been structured by the producers to be yours and to have that particular outlook, just to give you a hint of what's coming up. But before that, just also as a reminder of the open line on anything else that you'd like to touch on, I want to posit one or two things in your memory bank today, especially on the open line. I'm getting worried about the number. I don't watch too much TV, I must concede, so feel free to correct me at any point and I'll take that correction. On social media, I am somehow exposed, or my timeline is exposed to various, what should I call them? Those reality shows that are very disturbing in nature, where pseudo presenters and pseudo broadcasters on social media, podcasters, and I'm not saying everyone, by the way, I'm not criticizing everyone. And if the shoe fits, listen, take a chance, go for it. And I'm not criticizing anyone, every single person, by the way. But there are those that need a bit scrutiny. On Freedom Day, I would like to hear from you if we should not restrict such individuals from having a phone and a huge following, because they are literally killing society. There's one that I've seen of recent of a guy who catches out people who are cheating, couples who are cheating through infidelity and unfaithfulness in their relationships. And he makes them fight with each other after exposing the shenanigans on the phone and telling the other partner that their spouse has been texting whoever and exposing them to various pictures on the phone. And he just leaves them there at the end. People are psychologically scarred. People are broken. Relationships need some sort of mending, if that at all. But he just leaves them. He laughs and criticizes them, insults them, and it's just pure entertainment. There could be children involved. These people are drawn onto a public platform, lured into a public platform under the false guise of an interview. And when they get to that platform, then a rug is pulled under their feet and they fall flat on their faces. And there's no mechanism of mitigating that pain and that hurt that they may have suffered. You may know one or two, and I don't think that such people deserve a platform. Yes, people laugh, they applaud, and it's pure entertainment to us who are watching. But what about those individuals whose rights are literally trampled upon by these fame-seeking idiots with phones and access to social media? That's one. Another one that really gets me going. He's popularly known as Mr. Moloto. And he is a gentleman who hides behind a camera. And he brings his army of bouncers and they go to your home if you complain about your child, your son, your nephew, or anyone else who's a drug addict. And they come to your home, they interview this person, humiliate them, and then drag them with their pants into a vehicle and force them to rehabilitation. I'm not talking about 12-year-olds who are being exposed to. I'm talking about 27-year-olds, 30-year-old guys who have their rights literally transgressed in full view of everyone. And no one says anything. The cops are not interested. Yes, there is a big problem with nyaupe and all sorts of drugs in our country, where our youth are literally swimming in the pool of destruction because of these drugs. I agree and I concede to that. I'm questioning Mr. Moloto's methods. Maybe he'll send his bouncers to come and beat me up and sort me out. That's fine. But someone ought to stand up and say, "Awa, it shouldn't be that way. Here is your camera. I didn't give consent to be on camera to start off with. And the man or the lady is humiliated. Mr. Moloto has got no idea of what counseling is or dealing with drug addicts is. He uses just the power and might of his sword to come and sow destruction. That's all that he uses. I shudder to think what happens in that farm. If he can be so violent in full view of the cameras, what happens when the cameras are off, the doors are closed, and those people don't have anyone looking out for them? I shudder to think. We could definitely do better. We should do better. Well, what do I know? Let me know. 011-883-0702. 011-883-0702. Between 10 and 10:30, we will have a reflection on this day, the value of freedom that we have in South Africa. Is it worth the paper it's written on? Shumelo Xaba will join us on this issue of the value of the South African freedom that we enjoy. 10:30, you would know that over 1.1 million individuals, most of them were Jews, were horribly ill-treated, killed, maimed, and all sorts of stuff in Auschwitz. And today is the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. 80 years ago. We'll open the history books and go into that sad chapter of humanity. 11 up until 12, Family Matters. Family Matters is a feature that Clement touches on every Monday between 11 and 12. And today we want to ask you, are you an older sibling? And what are your responsibilities at home? Do you feel that you are unappreciated? There are many older siblings who go through life having sacrificed for their younger siblings. Chances are they didn't go to university. They went to work so that their siblings could get and be exposed to a better life than themselves. They became deputy parents. They took over heavy responsibilities. And once those younger siblings made it in life, they didn't care. They just don't care. They move on as if nothing has happened, as if they did all this by themselves. And they look down on an older sibling. And they don't even care. They don't even provide some sort of assistance, financial, emotional, psychological, or otherwise. What do you make of that? Are you that older sibling? Or are you that younger sibling who's a recipient and a beneficiary of great largesse from your siblings, your older siblings? And today, you don't care. You're thinking, yeah, well, they were supposed to do what they were supposed to do. I'm moving on with my life. I've got my family, and I don't care about helping them. That's truly sad. Let us know about that between 11 and 12. For now, 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. I look forward to your calls, your text messages, your voice notes on social media, on X, at IamFreeTSM, at IamFreeTSM, and at 702, at Radio 702, at Radio 702. On Facebook, I'm Thabo Shole-Mashao. Feel free to engage. The lines are officially opened.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
And with that, we go straight to Dima in DK. Dima in Diepkloof. Morning. Welcome.
Morning, Thabo, and thank you for taking my call.
Morning, ma'am.
Earlier, you asked what holidays we would like to have.
Yes.
And I say you are suitable for that topic because the last time you were here, you bemoaned the fact that Human Rights Day is referred to as Sharpeville Day.
Yes.
And June the 16th is Youth Day instead of what it should be, that the youth of that time fought for what we have today. So for us to have freedom today, I say rename those holidays for what they're truly what they truly have to be, instead of sugarcoating them, to embrace all people, so that the younger generations also should know how we got to have such a day.
Dima, you are spot on, and thanks for reminding me of that. Earlier on, and you were listening to Bongani Bingwa's show when I was just giving a throw forward as to what will be happening on this show. And I did indeed cite the fact that today is Freedom Day. Do we need another holiday in South Africa? And that holiday I propose should be called Apartheid Day, in order for us to truly reflect on the atrocities of apartheid, the serious wounds and scars that it cost this country. And I think those scars will be there up until eternity. The attempt is not to divide the nation or to revisit the past in order to sow divisions, but to reflect as a nation on something that visited us, that truly created proper trauma. And if we are interested in learning from history, we should have Apartheid Day in South Africa as a holiday where we all sit back and ask, what did I do to contribute to that huge monster which was declared a crime against humanity by an international body? So I did say that, and people may differ with me. And Dima, I love your points there, your contribution, because you're saying Human Rights Day should be Sharpeville Day or any other day. June 16, we shouldn't call it Youth Day. It should be 1976 Day, perhaps, or something more pointed, so that we don't sugarcoat. And I think, Dima, we have this a tendency of wanting to cover up things in South Africa, almost like a spouse who cheated on their lover. Now you don't want to talk about it anymore. You used to beat up your partner. Now you're like, I know that's all in the past. Leave it. Let's not talk about that anymore. Do you think it will have any effect, Dima, if we were to do that?
I believe it will be. My take is the younger generation should know why we have such a day. And they will be asking, and they will be taken to such places knowing that's why we have a day. Even when you say Apartheid Day, it will also form reconciliation of sorts, because the white people being born today should know that they are embracing black people as they do as we live in democracy. But what happened, we should not forget, so that we should not repeat the sins of our fathers in the past.
Dima, thanks very much, and wishing you a lovely Freedom Day. Khotso, you are in Naledi, Soweto. Hi, welcome.
Hi, how are you, Thabo?
I'm free. How's it going, brother?
Good. I'm very free, my man. Yes, I'd like to talk about how the parliament celebrated the victory when they were passing that illegal financial framework. You know, we all know they were like, yeah, as though it was their money. We all know that the ANC was looking for the loot, because the past elections showed them that they almost went out of government without the loot.
Yeah.
So now they had to go after the VAT, so that when they finally go out 2029, at least they don't mind. They all cozy. They've got money for their kids, for the future, and everything's at our own expense. They didn't think about how much we are struggling on the ground. So I wanted to actually emphasize on what made them celebrate as though this money was theirs when they passed that illegal framework. What made them actually even go behind the DA to go and negotiate with other smaller parties that agreed to all this illegality that happened in Parliament, live in Parliament when they did it. In our full view looking, what motivated them? You see, that's the thing that I would love.
Well, you'll hear the fact that we do have a gap to fill as far as meeting the obligations of service delivery. And that would mean maintenance of our roads. That would mean capacitating the police. That would mean injecting some more resources into our health system, hiring more nurses, making sure that the hospital are functional. That would also mean that to a large extent, we also have a capable civil servant who are well incentivized and appreciated. And it would only be about 75 billion rands in 3 years, right? So that's what I'm not justifying anything. Yeah. I'm just giving you the possible rationale that they may place on the table as an attempt to answer your question. What I'd like to find out from you, nonetheless, is that how do you think that they were going to loot that 75 billion rands in 3 years? What mechanisms would they have in place to fill their pockets with that 75? In your mind, when you think about it, because it sounds like something that you had given some thought, that this is just purely thuggery. How do you think it would have worked itself out?
Yes, they all say it's all about service deliveries and everything else. But if you check at how they privatized, like, for example, the prison, that one that Thabo Bester was in, it's run privately, meaning that the government can afford to pay a private company to run the prison, which means that the government can actually afford to capacitate itself and run the prison itself. But they don't do that. They choose actually to go with this tender processes. So every tender progress is how they loot the money, and they say it's in the name of public service. But we all know again about the ghost workers. You can't tell me that the government can't actually see that there are people who are withdrawing money at the ATM as salaries. People that are even paid provident funds, but that person doesn't exist. Are you telling me in a human resource of a government-run entity, they can't see that 300 people are not existing in this government?
Sure. Khotso, let's leave it at that. And thanks for calling. Please stay tuned. 011-883-0702. Just by a photo finish between Roseanne and Zamklaka. I'll take Zamklaka because Zamklaka has been holding 4 seconds longer than you, Roseanne. I'll come back to you, Roseanne Stewart in Boxback. I'll come to you in a short while. Zamklaka and Alex, hi. Welcome.
I'm free too, Thabo.
Okay,
Thabo, there's one thing, but these are interrelated matters. I was speaking to your producer here about my gripe with media houses, be they individual media houses or under a grouping, as to how, but I do not blame them as such, in as far as holding government into account by having access to all the entirety of the state, especially the presidency, because the president is the head of the state, and I just do not see the president being taken to task by the media in this country. I know the media has tried and to raise this matter with the presidency. That Mr. President, the nation wants to speak to you, and we can only be able to hear the thinking of this man through his interaction with the media. And he's refused, literally. He's right away from the media. I do not know, Thabo, what it is that you guys can do in the media fraternity to constantly hammer this and let it be a weekly topic throughout all media in this country, that we need accountability from these people. They must come and speak to the nation. I don't want to take it much further, Thabo. And I think we know exactly where I think the whole nation is frustrated with what is going on.
I fully understand what you mean. And one of the things that you're pointing to is that the president is not accountable and offering answers directly to the people who voted for his party. Yes, they didn't directly vote for him, but they voted for his party. He's now head of state. He's not giving sufficient number of interviews, lengthy interviews on shows like this one, with Clement Manyathela or anyone else, and he needs to actually improve his media appearance where he accounts in his own voice, takes questions. More importantly, takes questions. He should take questions directly from...
And not the monologue that you normally give when
Exactly. I hear you, Zamklaka. Let me quickly squeeze in Roseanne before I go to the to the news, because Roseanne has been holding for some time. Hey, Roseanne.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. The floor is yours. Thanks for your patience.
Thabo. Great. Thank you for your show. You're fantastic.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the fact is, I live in Dom Park. I've been living there for a long time. I know Cyril Ramaphosa had a house here. Tokyo Sehwali had a house here. So I'm not like a foreigner as such.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, we have got to consolidate. If we don't consolidate, we're never going to see justice or anything. And yesterday I was there burying my best friend, okay? And, the fact is that I was there, and I know I'm not from here. I'm from Mauritius.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a Mauritian.
Okay.
Living in Dom Park for a long time, but... Guys, we got to stop the anger. We got to stop everything. We got to make it happen. And that is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, before quick,
world.
I'll give you a chance. We have just a few seconds, Roseanne, before news headlines. What do you mean consolidate?
Consolidate means, it's apartheid, it's this, it's that.
Yeah.
I come from a multiracial background as well. White, black, blue, green, whatever. We got to consolidate. We got to heal. one another.
And we have to, right? And one of the things when you're healing is making sure that the wound is opened. You just don't cover it up. And it will be a bit painful when you do that. And covering it up actually makes it fester. And chances are it may even become bigger than it is.
Yeah.
So, and it's an uncomfortable process of opening the wound, treating it, cleaning it. And cleaning it, you feel like screaming when it's being cleaned. And you wish someone would leave it alone. Don't you think that we are at that point, and that's what we're calling for when we're saying, let's open the wound and not cover it up?
Of course.
Yeah.
And we have got to let go in the meaning, accept, and bring us together, please.
Roseanne, I think let's pause at that, only because I have to take news headlines. If necessary, we'll call you back after this, because I am interested in what you have to say. And Roseanne is calling from Boksburg, 29 minutes to 10.
702.
WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
011-883-072-702-1702. Listen, and I was just saying earlier on that there are some disturbing things about what we see on social media and if it should be regulated. Some of the content creators exposing individuals to emotional harm, and they just walk away with a laughter at the end, and there are no repercussions. Also made mention of Mr. Moloto, who is a glorified bouncer on social media, going to grab drug addicts, beating them up, dragging them kicking and screaming into his rehabilitation center, and to the applause of parents who are justifiably tired of their children not listening and perhaps not wanting to go to rehabilitation, terrorizing their homes. I'm asking though, is that the way to do it? Is that the way to do it? Remember, we are driven by legislation, we are driven by the Constitution as well, and that is just being made fun of by these content creators. It's just been made fun of. Nonetheless, let me hear what you have to say on 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Thabo. Khotso from Naledi. The ANC was looking for a loot. The past elections showed them that they almost went out of government without the loot. And now they went after the loot. They went after wanting to increase the VAT so that 2029, when they get out, they would have the loot. I hear, okay, you playing when Ellen Zilla was talking and whatever. Please play us a clip where Parliament was happy when passing this illegal financial framework. Yay! As though it was their money. Like as though there was, like I was so shocked when they're like, yeah, like these people, they celebrating. Is this their money or what is going on? And we thank the democracy and the South African courts for this. We thank the South Africans entirely. Thanks, Thabo.
Morning, Thabo. You say we are 100 times much better than we were before in this so-called freedom. And I put it to you, based on what? If we were to put two columns, of the plus and the negatives, before and now, take the positives now and the negatives now, and the positives back then and the negatives back then, how will it fare about? I mean, you cannot just come and just be let go of the hook like that, my brother, and say it's far better. No. You are basing it on what?
Yeah. I'll tell you what I'm basing it on. Number one, on the fact that I can criticize the president right now, and I won't have cops waiting to beat me up and take me somewhere and kill me in the dark of the night. And it will be said that I jumped from the induction room of John Foster Square. I'm basing it on the fact that when I go to the bathroom during News Now, I work in a multiracial environment. We won't have toilets written blacks and whites. I'm basing on the fact that I can access some free quality education, which was not the case at the time. I'm basing on the fact that with all its problems, there is NSFAS that is there. There was TEFSA that was there, that helped many of us to gain a little bit of tertiary education, without which we wouldn't have managed to be where we are. I'm basing it on the fact that today, as you are sitting there there is no fear of someone kicking down, the cops kicking down their doors and asking you for a passbook. You can freely walk in Rosebank in Sandton, and no cop is going to ask you for a passbook. I am not claiming perfection of the system. I am not. And if you've listened to me before, I'm the harshest critic of this government. But there are laws now that protect us. There weren't those laws. Actually, apartheid was a legalized system of discrimination, making it okay for me and you to be subhumans. That on its own is value for money for me, because there's no price that you can pay for dignity. There isn't any other price. So I'm not saying it's perfect. I am not. But I'm saying pound for pound, if I were walking down a central Johannesburg and some person would come and slap me because I'm wearing a cap, and there would be no repercussion. I don't think people understand what apartheid is. Perhaps that's why we should have that apartheid day. I don't think people know what apartheid was. People think these were just laws. They didn't affect anyone and things were just normal. It was not like that. State of emergency for nothing. You can't walk your streets at night for nothing. I don't think people truly appreciate what apartheid did and what apartheid was. I don't think we do. Perhaps we need that day after all. I hope that column, and you can call and juxtapose what I said against what you feel. Feel free to do that on 011-883-0702.
Morning, Thabo. The Msamloto thing is wrong, but look at it this way. These are parents that are stuck. They don't know. They don't have any options. They don't travel. So this is the only option. So what do you expect a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old grandmother to do with his 40-year-old son who's taking drugs and is just in jail? His life is just messed up. What solution do you think would be okay? Cooks from Dublin.
Firstly, Cooks, I don't claim to have a box of solutions that would help South Africa. It's not why I said what I said. I am not claiming that I have a monopoly on fantastic ideas. I am saying it is against the values, principles, laws, and the Constitution that you and I agreed upon, the right to dignity. In chapter 2, we agreed upon that. I'm saying it can't be then implemented conveniently and as and when we want to. So someone who's a drug addict doesn't have the rights that you and I have. They are battling. They have a serious problem. We cannot be compounding on their problems. Being a drug addict means that you have serious issues. It doesn't mean that you need then to be treated as subhuman. And with that, I'm not saying that I have solutions. I'm saying let's stick to the rule book that would be used against you and I. Would you like to be treated that way, Cooks? Would you enjoy some guy who's not a cop, whose qualifications we don't know? Is he even authorized to do what he's doing? Does his rehabilitation center, is it certified to be a rehabilitation center? And the way he speaks to people, you realize that this is an individual who does not have sufficient capacity to mitigate these complex mental health issues. He doesn't. He walks in, hey, get all better, boy. Get all better. I mean, it clearly says this person lives in a different world, 1984, where every problem was a nail and every solution was a hammer. That's what I'm saying. 011-883-0702. Doreen, you've been holding for some time. Thanks for your patience. You are in voice. Welcome.
Yes, Thabo. I am very, very unhappy with what happened to one of my colleagues. She lives in Deep Sloot Extension 6. Last week, Wednesday, she came to work like she was crying all night. She said at around 1:30, thugs broke the window of where she stays and they pointed a gun and told her to go and open the door. So she complied because she was scared that they were going to shoot them and her kids. She's got a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old kid. And the thugs came in, they took all her valuables, her movable items, microwave, TV, kettle, gas heater, gas stove. They haven't been having electricity for more than 2 months or so. So they're using gas. And now she's having to start budgeting to buy those things, the gas especially, because she has kids. She has to cook, she has to warm up because it's cold at this moment. And it's so unfair because she says those people were talking a foreign language. So obviously it's foreign guys. I don't want to mention the country, or you want me to mention the country?
No, I don't. I don't. You don't have to, and I'll tell you why you don't have to. Because it would be as painful even if it was a crime committed by a local South African who speaks like me. I don't think that would change things, right? I'm terribly torn apart by that because and crime... Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Doreen. I'm listening to you, sorry.
They living in a yard where there's several rooms rented out. After they broke from hers, they went to the other 3 rooms. Yeah. And these places, these guys know very well that these are women only staying in there.
Yeah.
So they took advantage. There's no guy around.
Goodness me, Doreen, and it's heartbreaking. You know, you'll never understand the extent of the pain that crime imposes upon you, how you feel naked and vulnerable after being infringed upon, after someone had walked into your house and taken everything. You don't understand it until it happens to you. God forbid, I don't want it to happen to anyone, but I'm just saying until it happens to you, you just don't have that thorough understanding. My heart breaks for your friends. I pray that the cops would be able to find those thugs and justice would be done, Doreen. I don't know what to say. I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry about everything else that you've just described. It sounds painful, and it appears your friends would need a whole lot of help as well after this. Apologies for that. It's 11 to 10. Pumlani in Pretoria. Welcome.
Hi, Tom.
I'm free. How's it, Pumlani?
I'm good. Very from day, man.
And to you too, sir.
Yeah, no, I see you're listing your points of freedom. And, I'm totally not against that. But I feel like as grown-ups, we've learned to understand that is actually not freedom. If you look at the level of education that we have, if you look at the level of, the kind of job that we're working, if you look at the places where we're staying and all of that, I think it's high time that we realize that is actually not freedom. Freedom is having access to resources, money, and being able to go to a mall whenever you want to go to a mall. Not go to a mall only on the month end and finish the last cent that you've earned throughout the whole month of working very hard and not being able to even raise your kids and all of that. We cannot call that freedom. I'm totally against your points of saying, we are free. We are not free. We are still struggling, and we within this 31 years of democracy, I'm not seeing any change. I'm trying to say, and it's only good when you are young, to know that, our parents were not able to go to malls and walk into places where white people were. But now when you grow up, you start to realize, what's the point of going to a mall if you don't even have the money to go to a mall? We go to school, the facility is very bad. I'm trying to say, the level of education is not good. In classes, you find 70 kids in a single class, the teacher is unable to teach that. I don't want to talk much about the health facilities and all of that. That we cannot say it's freedom. Because if you look at white people, the hospital that they go to, it's proper healthcare. Proper education. Everything is just proper with them. But if you look at us, we're struggling.
Yeah,
we are struggling. We're struggling. So we cannot say that's freedom.
Okay. So here's the point, Pumlani. We are talking about political freedom, and we are talking about a free constitution that meets out the rights to everyone equally. And in any society, go to France and go everywhere else, you will find people who are struggling. Anyway, hold on. I did give you a chance to ventilate and patiently so I won't be long because we don't have time anyway. So whilst that is the case, I am not arguing with you about the quality of education, how people are battling to make it from one salary to the next. If you are lucky enough to get a job, unemployment is a serious problem on its own. But I'm saying you can't say that there isn't freedom if you are comparing it to pre-1994. You can't say that. It is the quality of which we need to improve upon in order for the people to feel the positive vibrations of this freedom that the paper purports about. I think what we should agree upon is that pre-1994, as far as rights were concerned, and post-1994, it's chalk and cheese. We can only build on this. We can only build. But to say that it is exactly the same, it is not only being naive, it is definitely lying about the facts. It is being dishonest. Pre-1994, post-1994, pound for pound, if you are looking at the laws that we have now, you can't say that it's the same or the current is worse than the former. I'm listening to you briefly before I say goodbye.
I think maybe the definition of freedom, I don't know, maybe we define it differently.
I've confined it to political. I've confined it.
I do understand, but I feel like, the definition of freedom, I don't know, maybe, it should be changed, because I feel like, when you say you are free as a person, you should be able to take your kids to school and fetch them, and that's a privilege that we don't even have.
Yeah, and you mentioned going to the mall and buying things and whatever else. There are things that I can afford, but I can't say that we don't have freedom. I would like to buy a beautiful SUV right now. I can't afford it, but I can't say that there's no freedom because I can't afford to live in Dainfern.
No, I do understand that. But I feel like what we teach our kids as freedom, I don't know, man. I feel like we need to change the definition of freedom.
Let's agree to disagree, my brother. But I take your point. I take your point, Pumlani. We need to move very quickly. I've been overly indulging every single individual and forgetting that there is this thing called a time. Selma, you in Rodiport. Hi. Selma?
Hello, Thabo.
Hello, Selma. Morning.
I just wanted a quick contribution about people being dragged out of their houses and committed to these institutions.
Yes, ma'am.
If these institutions are not registered, it is, anyway, they may not practice. A proper registered institution is supposed to have proper certified doctors and nurses on hand. They use proper certified drugs that help these people to overcome their drug habits or their drinking habits. And if they don't have those, these people can die. It happened to a friend of ours. He was sent to, I don't know, I assume it wasn't a registered facility. They didn't treat him properly. He got tremendous seizures as a result of all of a sudden being taken off booze, and he died. His brain ruptured, he died. So that is what I'm trying to say. And if you actually want to commit somebody to such a institution, firstly, like Westkop or something, it has to be registered. And secondly, you need a proper order of court by a magistrate or judge or something.
Certainly.
To be able to do that, they have to certify this person to be committable.
Yeah, Selma, I'm glad that you brought that very sober note to this discussion. And I know some people are thinking that I'm against Ntate Moloto and he may unleash his bouncers on me because I spoke about him on radio. Well, it is what it is. He needs to do what he needs to do. 011-883-0702. Let's go to Semi in Centurion. Hey, Semi.
Good morning, Thabo.
Hi. Welcome. We've got limited time, Semi. The floor is yours.
Sure. Thabo, in as much as we have freedom today, but to say that the current situation in our country is 100 times better than apartheid, that's oversimplistic. You are simplifying things. Because if you look at it, let's look at the facts. Between 2023 and 2024, over 4,000 men were wrongfully arrested here in South Africa.
Yeah.
It was released by Senzo Mkhulu. Wrongfully arrested.
Yeah.
We still have people being beaten up by the police officers in police sessions and tortured and killed and dying. Look at what's happening in G4's prison. Those things are deliberate. They are not mistakes.
Yes.
we've seen what Margaret was doing. Those TRT people. Those people were just a murder squad. They were killing people, doing all sorts of things under a democratic government.
Yeah.
Those were deliberate. They were not mistakes or negligence or so on.
I don't have a lot of time. Yeah. So compare that to 1984. What do the stats say?
Unfortunately, there was no
exactly to start off with. Because they knew.
The thing, Thabo, here is this: we still have elements.
Agreed. I'm not against it. You've created a parallel argument that in which I'm not participating. I don't disagree with that. Before the show, as God would be my witness, before the show, Clive, myself, and other producers on the other side were talking about how South African police use torture as a method to investigate some criminal activities. More so if you are a nobody, when they know they'll get away with it. I am not disagreeing with that, Semi. I am not. What I'm saying is that used to be far worse during now there's some bit of recourse. Now it is against the law. Previously, it was allowed. Detention without trial was a thing. And you'd be detained 60, 90 days without a trial at all. And it was okay. Mikey, conclude for us. The floor is yours.
Okay. I just want to say that Freedom Day today.
Yes.
South Africa has changed a lot, but it's failing the vulnerable.
Yes.
And why I'm saying that, especially my passion is with the elderly. The elderly who are displaced from their homes, and when cases are reported at the police stations, they almost, let's say statistics, almost maybe 70% of them are not solved, are not resolved, and many of them are in the street. And it's my personal encounter.
Yes.
My frail mom, who is 92 years old, was chucked out of the house by, obviously, there's this syndrome of the last born. I'm a medical doctor. I've got all the resources. I fought the system. I went to the system, the SAPS, the prosecuting authority, the justice system, social development. I went everywhere. And there is no resolution, and my mom is still out of her 90-year-old house that we grew up in, where there is doctors and advocates.
Mikey, we have to revisit that. What you are saying, you're giving us a great idea. I'm going to ask the producers to give you a call so that we can properly ventilate. We have only a few seconds remaining, so allow me to go on a break, and then I'll ask the producers to get in touch with you. 1:10.